Is it really possible to mix an entire song with nothing but the stock plugins and actually get good results? Well, with so many third-party plugins, plugins that you have to pay for being advertised, promoted, or just being recommended all over the internet, it begs the question, it almost makes you feel like there's something weird or wrong if you just mix your song with stock plugins, or even worse, that it's not even possible to mix a song with just the stock plugins. Now, I want to play you two songs that I mixed with nothing but the stock plugins that come with my software, Pro Tools. I use nothing other than the included EQ, the included compressor, and the included reverb and delay plugins. Nothing extra, nothing that I paid for, just what comes with the software. I'm gonna play you before and after of a rock song that has a male vocal and then a pop song that has a female vocal. Just heads up, these aren't mastered. They're just the mix, before and after, okay? Here's the before and after of the rock song. And here's the before and after of the pop song.
Set this temple on fire, burning it all away. Set this temple on fire. Set this temple on fire, burning it all away. Set this temple on fire.
Okay, so now that you've heard the before and after of the songs, let me tell you the truth about stock plugins versus paid plugins. Now, straight up, there is nothing wrong with paid plugins, third-party plugins, whatever you want to call them. Some of my best friends make plugins that they sell for a living. But for as long as I can remember, when I got into audio, when I was in high school, before I even went to audio school, and then for sure in audio school, and for sure in the studios I worked in, and for sure on the internet since then and to this day, it seems like everyone around me was saying, oh yeah, you get plugins with your software, but you're gonna have to buy some real plugins from fill in the blank company to get a real professional mix. And so all I wanted was to make a really good mix, so I followed that advice and I bought all the plugins. I bought them all, and I have just about every plugin that's out there, it seems. The problem was when I bought my first bundle of paid for plugins, I pulled them up, I started to use them, and it turned out a mix that sounded just as crappy as my mixes with the stock plugins, which is why I continue to teach and tell people that it's not the plugins, it's you that's the bottleneck. It's not the gear, it's you. But let me be more specific in this video about stock plugins, and not only why I think they are usable, because that's a word some people say, oh, they're usable, but why I actually think it's a better way for you to go. When you use nothing but stock plugins, meaning the free plugins that come with your software, you develop discipline and focus in your mixing. When all you have is the one EQ and the one compressor and the one reverb and the one delay that comes with your software, there's nothing to distract you. There's no shiny object syndrome of, oh, I got 13 EQs in my drop-down menu. Which compressor am I gonna use on this? All of that is a distraction. When you only have the included plugins, it forces you to focus on simply mixing, not downloading new plugins, not updating a new plugin, not trying to update your DAW, not buying something new. All of that's a distraction. When what you need, if your mixes aren't good, is to practice mixing and put the right techniques and strategies in place, not be distracted by new plugins. Here's another problem with paid for plugins or third-party plugins. If you continuously demo new plugins or buy new plugins or research or look for reviews on new plugins, you never get good at mixing. It's easy to hide behind the latest plugin, to just dial up an effect, to dial up a preset, to insert the plugin, and most of them make your mixes louder, by the way, by default, so you think the plugin makes it sound better when it's just making it louder. Just want to let you know about that. When you're not hiding behind those new things, all you're left with is your EQ, compressor, reverb, delay, and the fact that you're not good at mixing yet, and that is frustrating. But that's the honest place to be. If you're not good yet, you might as well raise your hand and say, I'm not good at mixing. So guess what? I'm going to try to get better at mixing instead of hiding behind another plugin. When you have to start using your stock plugins, you begin to learn the fundamentals of EQ, which is the most important plugin in the world, compression, which is the second most important plugin in the world. You start to understand the fundamentals of mixing workflow. What do you do first, second, third? How doing this affects this, or if I do this first, it makes this easier. If I do this first, it makes this harder. You actually get better. And with plugins becoming more intelligent these days and becoming more done for you type stuff, like run your mix through this automatic EQ, automatic mix plugin, with that trend in the marketplace today, it almost makes us lazier. And it prohibits us from not only getting good at mixing, but actually getting better at making music. Because here's the cool thing, when you learn how to mix, and if you just use the standard EQ, compressor, reverb, delay that comes with your software, you don't just get good at mixing, you become a better musician. And the reason is because you have to understand what you're doing. It forces you to go, my guitars sound dull and muffled. How do I make them sound brighter and more present? And when you develop that skill of, let's say, EQ to discover how to make your guitar sound better, then your brain figures out the fundamentals of music and sound and tone and arrangement. You're not deferring the help to some robot. You're actually forced to figure out how music works best. Because really, if you have written and arranged a song appropriately, picking the right instruments and understanding what tones go well with what other tones, in what space and in what capacity, then when it comes time to mix, there's really not much to do because you, in theory, have blended the right tones at the right time to create the impact and the balance and the excitement that you ultimately want. Mixing should just subtly enhance that. The problem is that we're not really good at songwriting or arranging either, so we just rely on buying third-party plugins to just add some tone or add some sizzle when we don't need those things. If we force ourselves to use stock plugins, we will actually become better musicians and better understand the science of tone, the art of tone, and how everything fits together. Because mixing isn't just a technical endeavor, it is an artistic endeavor, and you want to develop as an artist, not just as a mix engineer. When you learn to mix with stock plugins, you basically future-proof yourself. Okay, here's what I mean. Mixing is not nearly as hard as people make it out to be. It is complex. There are a lot of things you could potentially do or not do, and it seems to be endless. But it is not that hard. When you start to understand the basics of EQ, guess what? You can EQ on any DAW, in any console, in any live environment, in any studio. An EQ is an EQ is an EQ. A compressor is a compressor is a compressor. It doesn't matter if you have to switch DAWs. It doesn't matter if there's a whole new platform we're all mixing on in 10 years. EQ has been the same for decades. Compressors have been the same for decades. Those skills will translate wherever you go, from here to somewhere else or from present to the future. These are skills like playing an instrument that you can take with you. And like I said a moment ago, the time that you put into learning how to mix properly with the stock plugins, it translates into being a better musician, a better arranger, a better producer, a better recording engineer. The ripple effects of putting in the time now to learn how to mix are infinite. And bottom line, here's the big win when you force yourself to mix with stock plugins. It shifts the focus back to where it should be, which is making great music. If you leave the back door open of, I could use a different plugin here. Well, I wonder if I should buy something. Wonder if I should demo that. Sound on Sound had a good review of that plugin. That guy on Gearsluts continues to talk about that plugin. I saw that guy on YouTube using that plugin, even if that video was one of mine. If you leave that back door open of, I could grab another plugin that could make my mix better, it shifts your focus from the music to buying stuff, looking for reviews of the stuff you might want to buy. All of that is a waste of time when the music is ultimately what it was all about, what I think it should be about. And when you work with only stock plugins, you basically eliminate that backdoor. You close it completely. you remove variables and you don't have any decisions to make. It's just, okay, here are the tools, here's the music, let's use those tools to make the music sound better. Your focus is exactly where it should be. Now, you may not know how to use those tools yet. You may not know the difference between an attack and release, or what the threshold is versus the ratio, or what a cue is, but you can learn. And when you learn, you're empowered. You'll get better sounding mixes, and you won't have to spend any money or any time gazing over into the land of other stuff you could buy. So where do we go from here? What do we do with this, Graham? Well, in just a few days, I'm going to be releasing my brand new flagship mixing course called Mixing University. It's an all-comprehensive mixing course that's perfect for beginners and advanced mixers. If you're brand new to mixing, Mixing University is going to give you the knowledge and a step-by-step repeatable system to follow that you can use to turn your raw tracks into radio-ready mixes with just your stock plugins. And if you're a little more advanced, then Mixing University is going to give you all kinds of advanced concepts and tips and tricks to take your current mixes to the next level. Now, Mixing University is not just going to give you my entire step-by-step system, it's also going to give you a ton of over-the-shoulder mixing walkthroughs. Now, this is what I'm most excited about with this program. You're not just going to get theory, do this, do that, what you need the steps. You're also going to be able to virtually sit next to me while we mix multiple songs across multiple genres from start to finish. Literally raw tracks, no plugins, no nothing, all out of balance, all a mess, to final, finished, polished mix, all with stock plugins. I'll walk you through my mix setup process, what I do first, what instruments I mix first, second, or third, what plugins I use where, how do I tackle the drums, how do I tackle the vocal effects? What do I do with this guitar? You'll watch over my shoulder as I mix multiple genres, including pop, rock, country, metal, acoustic. Nothing's held back. Nothing's done off camera. You literally watch me put it together from start to finish. And on top of that, you get the same stems and the same multi-tracks for all of those songs, so you can download them and import them into your own software and mix along with me, including the 2 songs that I played for you earlier in this video. There's also an entire section of this course dedicated to nothing but mixing tricks, where I've taken like every trick I know that I use on a regular basis and categorize them by instrument. All my favorite guitar tricks, vocal mixing tricks, drum tricks, bass tricks, you name it, it's all there that you can just sift through and find something cool to use. This course is massive, and it'll take your amateur mixes and take them to that professional polish that will wow your fans, it'll wow your friends, that will make people think you actually hired a mix engineer to do it or went to a studio and got it done top to bottom by professionals. Now, Mixing University comes out on October 11th, but if you want to get early access to the course and get a sneak peek of the course where I actually show you how I mix the rock vocals in the song I played for you earlier in this video, including some other free gifts like my 8-step mixing checklist, then go to mixinguniversity.com right now, put the link here in the video and in the description box. Sign up on the early access list. You're going to get sneak peek videos, the 8-step mixing checklist that gives you a repeatable 8-step process that you can use right now with your mixes. You'll get some stems that you can practice mixing on right away, even before the course comes out. And of course, you're going to get early access to get into the course before anyone else does when it launches on October 11th. Now, this is the first mixing course that I've launched in years, and I've built it in such a way that is all comprehensive, covers everything you would possibly need to know, but it's fun. It's easy to follow along. It's understandable. It's engaging. If you like the way I teach here on YouTube, you're going to love this course. So get a sneak peek of it. Get all the free goodies at mixinguniversity.com. Thanks for watching this video, and hopefully I'll see you inside the course.